We're reviewing for the test that you will be taking on Wednesday. And also, when you walked in, you should have picked up a Kahoot paper and a study guide for the constructed response portion of your test. The Kahoot paper is what you are filling out as we go through the Kahoot for your class points. So you just take notes as you go. As soon as you answer on the screen, start summarizing the question. You don't have to write it word for word. And then anything that we write down when we go over it together, any scratch work you need to do, put that down as well. But that's your points for just the class today. Tomorrow you have your binder check. So the list for what that all includes is in Schoology. I will also be checking that study guide that you picked up today. And really that study guide has been available online since last week, so you could have gotten ahead on it and done it on your own paper. But you have like today as homework, do that constructed response portion of your study guide that I'm checking tomorrow when I check your binder check. Binder checks go in the project category. That's all that really goes in the project category. So for you, just taking notes is an automatic like 20% towards your overall grade. You choosing not to take notes would be a minus 20% of your overall grade. So if you choose not to take any notes, you would have to score hundreds on everything else to get an 80%, which is really hard to do. So I would imagine the highest grade you could get is like a C if you decide I'm not going to take any notes. Okay, and taking notes is like the bare minimum. Even when you're absent, you still have to take notes. You still have to either copy them from the file that I upload or watch the whole video of the lesson and take notes that way. Did you have a question? No? No question? Okay, anyway, so yeah, the list is in the slides. So you should have one page for each of those lessons and all that stuff. If not, look in Schoology, copy it on your own paper. You don't need the papers that I pass out every day. You can always do them on your own paper. If you want them, they're in that bin, help yourself. But you don't need them. So no excuses. Anyway, you should also, I told you 10 minutes, but I was saying, if you are wondering, like maybe you have lots of things you need to take care of for this class, here's the priority. First is making sure your binder check's ready for tomorrow. Then it's working on the 2 study guides. The paper one first, because I'm checking that tomorrow in class, and if you don't have it ready, then you just have to upload it to Schoology when it is ready. The other study guide is that puzzle piece. So combined, that's worth 150 class points. There's a reason I want you to do those more than I want you to do, say, like your other homework that you might still be missing. I'd rather you focus on these because combined, that's like equal to 15 homeworks. Okay, so do those, prioritize these first because those are aligned to your actual test. So the other ones are still good practice, but these are just like your actual test, just different numbers, different situations. But say you're an overachiever, you get all that done because it's really been available since last week for you to do. Then you could focus on 4 and 5 on this list. Quiz corrections are a lower priority because if you score higher on the unit tests, I will match that score for your quizzes. And I've done that year after year, and I've seen some kids have great success with that, where they'll literally be failing the entire unit, but then they pull off a good grade on the unit test, and then that overrides it. Okay, so definitely that's lower priority, but it's still up there if you have nothing else to do. And then even lower than that would be your other missing puzzle pieces that are still good practice, but more time consuming. So I don't want you doing those before you do the study guide. I want you doing the study guide first. The questions on anything I just said? I know it's like the same, what do you call it? Routine each time, but I still need to constantly remind you because sometimes people decide to start really trying at the end. So there you go. So there's all that to schedule. now we are gonna start the Kahoot. So if you're not in it, quickly get into it. You can join late. And we are playing for prizes. So first, second, and third place get their choice. First place would get first dibs, second place gets second dibs, third place gets whatever's left. But it would be between 5 assessment points, homework tasks, and so that will be the prizes. And then you just need to take points as you go for the class points. All right, I'm going to press start, but you can late join. So just hurry up and get into it. All right. I picked this Kahoot mostly to help you with your constructed response. So we are writing a system that represents a situation. 3 hamburgers and 6 sodas cost $24. 5 hamburgers and 2 sodas cost $24. Write the system. But we need to get better at writing the system when it's from a situation. So when it's a system of equations, that kind of gives you a hint. You're kind of lucky we didn't mix it with the inequalities. That will be its own like portion of your test or of the unit. So a system of equations would have to have at least 2 equal signs. In this level of your math, we're just looking at 2 equations for a system, but it could technically be more. What do I tell you to usually identify first when you are making an equation from a word problem? Totals. And since it's a system of equations, we should expect 2 totals. So what are my 2 totals? And so it happens to be the same exact total, but there's still 2 separate equations. And the reason why I say that's helpful is because once you know like what it should equal, like a total cost or something like that, then you can figure out what contributes to that cost or total, whatever. So what contributes to the first 24? And do we know how much the hamburgers and the sodas cost? No. All we know is how much of each was purchased. So in that case, you can label your unknowns with variables. So what exactly would go on this side of the equal sign? 3x plus 6y. They should be different variables because they're talking about different things. What is the x talking about? Not amount of hamburgers. Good. So the cost of 1 hamburger. On your constructed response test, and you can even see like on your study guide right now, the only thing that will be different is the situation. Literally A, B, and C will be word for word that question. The only thing that will be different is the situation. And one of the parts of A is to define the variables that you use. So if you don't tell me X's cost of hamburger, even though it might be like really obvious, that's like a -5 points. So just telling me what your variables represent is part of it. So what does the Y represent? The cost of sodas. Also, don't just say X is hamburgers, Y is sodas, because that's technically not it. We already know how much of each we bought. We want to figure out what the price was is our unknown. Make sense? So then on the other side of the other 24 total, what do we need to put? For this one? Okay, good. Usually what precedes the total is what contributes to it. So there you go. Then you would think about how to solve it. On your constructed response, you would need to know how to solve by graphing by hand. So questions on that? Okay, so then on to the next. Remember to take notes as we go. As soon as you answer it, start jotting stuff down about it. So Jerry needs $53. He cleans trash at $6 an hour and mows lawns at $7 an hour. He can work 10 hours. You're picking a system that represents that situation.